Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we have the Mudita Kompakt and the Phone 3 after a year. What have these companies done? Both of them are great at updating their devices, but which one is better in 2026? So first of all, we're going to start with compatibility. Does it work with my carrier? And in this case, the Phone is going to take an edge. I'm going to give a little bit more weight in certain categories. This one is pretty straightforward. It's a 1 to 0. The Phone has more bands. It's prepare for longevity with 5G, whereas the Mudita Kompakt has two different variants, one for North America, one for global. They're pretty cross-compatible, but they have to be optimized, and having more variants, it's a little bit of a drawback in this specific instance, whereas the Phone 3 only has one variant, has 5G, it is pretty much compatible worldwide. So for that, 1 to 0 for the Phone 3. Now we take a very important second question. It's not only does it work in my area, does it work with my carrier, but also can I afford it? Do I want to invest that much money? And the Mudita Kompakt takes a resounding win, tying the match 1-1 right there, $429. Maybe cheaper if you find it on a different reseller or whatnot. And the Phone 3 is quite expensive at $599, I believe is the last pre-order. And if I'll make a correction here, if it has gone up in price, which is quite a massive difference. Like we're talking about a difference of either $79 or $179, which is quite a lot. So I personally think that ties the match. If anything, I will give it a 0.25 extra on the Mudita Kompakt, so 1.25 to 1, because it is quite a difference in price. So I think you may be getting more bang for your buck on the Mudita Kompakt, but it depends on what you are prioritizing, as we will see in just a second. Then the next one is build quality. This one's a tie for me. It just depends on what you prefer. The Mudita Kompakt is an excellent device. It's very nice in the hand. It has a polycarbonate feel. It has a camera. It has the volume rockers, USB-C, which is always appreciated. Then you have the offline button, which allows you to disconnect pretty much every modem on the device, and a very needed 3.5mm headphone jack here at the top. So it has the e-ink screen, very beautiful, very nice. I personally appreciate all of those things, but it just depends on what you prefer. If you prefer a polycarbonate feel, go with the Mudita. If you prefer the Phone metallic finish, nicer in the hand, it feels more of like a weighty device, still has the USB-C and a very nice speaker grill, which is going to come in handy in a few extra categories. Here we have the wheel that controls the brightness, and also the torch. So if you want to use the torch, you also have that ability right there. So this one is a tie for me. I would say it just depends on your preference. It's not a matter of, which one do you want. So 2 for the Phone 3 and 2.25 for the Mudita Kompakt. The next category, the Mudita Kompakt takes an extra edge. So I will give it an extra 2.25 points on this one, which is battery life. The battery life on the Mudita Kompakt for power users is still going to be 2 days, a very respectable 2 days. For medium to light users, we're talking about 4 or 5 days of battery life. For a Phone 3, yes, it is an optimized system. It is a pretty basic device. It does have some tools and whatnot, and you can use it. But power users are going to be at 1, maybe 2 days. And users like myself, more medium to light users, I have been using this device for about a year now. We're talking about 2 to 3 days maximum. It doesn't reach the 4, 5, sometimes 6 days of light users with the Mudita Kompakt. So in this case, the Mudita takes another extra edge, another weighted edge on this battle, and it takes a little bit more distance. So now we are at essentially 3.5 to 2 on the Phone. But the Phone responds on phone calls. Every device needs to make phone calls, right? That's what we buy them. We buy them to have conversations. And where the experience is pretty nice whenever you're typing or doing pretty much everything else, the Phone 3 does take the edge on the phone calls, not only because of more compatibility, but also because of better volume. Here is a very large speaker grill that you can listen to entertainment, music, podcast, whatever it is. Whenever you are having a nice phone call, you may want to put it on speaker. You can listen to your friends at the distance. So having more compatibility and a very nice volume. The volume on the Mudita is pretty respectable. I would not say it's super tiny. It's quite adequate in my opinion. But the volume on the Phone 3, it is definitely louder. So in this case, the Phone 3 takes back, so 3.5 to 3. And now we're getting closer to, okay, which one is better? Which one takes that edge? Which one is more important to you? Again, if you are looking at the main differences, of course, the e-ink screen, this one is e-ink, this one is OLED. It just depends on what your preferences are. Now we're going to take a little bit of the messaging experience. So let's talk about the messaging experience on both devices. Well, the messaging experience on both devices is pretty good. You can insert attachments, for example. As you see right here, you can take a picture, you can insert the attachment. We couldn't find any images. We're going to get to images in just 1 second. Here is where the light phone takes another edge. So 4 to 3.5 now, because they are both pretty good at typing. So let's just take a general typing. Hello, this is the Mudita. Mudita right there. And it is pretty decently fast for being an e-ink screen. This one is just a tad faster, the light phone 3. So this is the Mudita, this is the light phone 3. Both keyboards are adequate. I would say that I do prefer a little bit the light phone experience just because it's a tad faster, but also because it has voice to text. So when it comes to voice to text, you're going to be able to use it. Whereas by default on the Mudita, that feature is not available. Yes, you can customize the Mudita, but then we're going to get into the customization area, which is like, okay, which one's better for customization? That's a completely different conversation. If you want to customize the keyboard, you could, etc. Install APKs. Yes, I know that, but I'm comparing them as is for now so that we can get a baseline reading. And then we're going to talk about, okay, which one is more extensible, which one's more customizable. They both have emoji. They both have symbols, for example, right there. So I have used both, when it comes to the typing experience, when it comes to the symbols, they're both pretty decently available. But having that extra edge on the voice to text, I think gives the edge on texting experience on the light phone 3. And again, yes, we'll get to customization in just a second, which kind of balances other things. So for now, 4 to 3.5, the light phone 3 takes a little bit of the edge. Now we're going to go to another very important category. So this is something that a lot of people like to do or need to have. So this is kind of like maps. So when it comes to maps, what do we have available? In the Mudita Kompakt, by default, you have available OpenStreetMaps. Is it the best? No. Is it serviceable? Yes. However, there are some issues. Like let's say we're planning a route. Let's just browse the maps. You have 3 different availabilities. You have walking, cycling, and driving. And you're going to be able to find pretty much every place, but not any place. So you're going to be able to find most big businesses that have been there for a long time because this is dependent on community contributions, whereas the Light Phone 3 uses 2 different map providers to give you that information. So the first one is the directory, which you can look for different places. Let's say Pho, we're looking for Pho. You're going to get results from Google Maps. And whenever you have that result, you have the information, then you go and you click this button right here, which takes you to the map. We're going to take it. And now you have more options than on the Mudita Kompakt. You have walking, you have biking, you have driving, and you also have public transit. On top of that, you can explore automatically the map. So if it's available in your area for whatever reason, and you want to go and take a peek, let's say we're going to take a peek to the same area. Now this feature brings it to parity with the Mudita Kompakt, but you also have the ability to, let's say we're going to put it on public transit and we're going to start it. Now you have different options. Okay, what are you going to take, etc., etc. It's going to give you the different options and you're going to have it. Both of them have turn-by-turn navigation in this specific example, but the edge goes to the Light Phone 3 for obvious reasons. You have more options, but also you have the ability to not only do turn-by-turn navigation, but you have more options when it comes to the map providing the different information. So we're going to look for Pho in the Denver area, right? This is going to, whatever the community has done on the edge of the Denver area, whatever they have been able to find, whereas we have the power, the big power of Google Maps, the Google API on the Light Phone 3. So the maps provider for the turn-by-turn is Here Maps, and the provider for the directions or the businesses is the Google Maps API. So definitely more powerful and definitely more reassuring to have the data updated live for the Light Phone 3. So the Light Phone 3 takes a little bit of an edge, 5 to 3.5. I think that's where we're at. But the Mudita comes back in the category that I'm talking about, entertainment. So yes, the entertainment category is something that varies person to person, but I'm going to give the edge to the Mudita Kompakt for this reason. The Mudita Kompakt has more entertainment options that may be good or bad. I think by default, they're not bad. But also, I mean, look at it from this perspective, right? You have an e-reader. So let's say that you want to read a book. Again, excellent battery life, and you want to read a book. You're going to be able to do that right there. As you see, we're going to be able to read from Project Gutenberg, Crime and Punishment from Fyodor Dostoevsky. Perfect. So we have, a good e-reader function, and we're going to be able to read, whatever it is that it needs to be done. The e-reader is not the best, in my personal opinion, but it's better than what the Light Phone 3 has. The Light Phone 3 has no entertainment option for reading, quote unquote, entertainment, quote unquote. But also the Mudita has music. So you have music, you have all the songs that you're able to load on the Mudita, and you also have a playlist manager. On the Light Phone 3, you do have music. However, you do not yet have playlist. This is a year after. It's one of the sore points. I wish that this was already addressed, and it is going to be addressed. But as of today, when we are doing this comparison, it is not yet available. So the Mudita is going to take the edge on the entertainment category. You have the music, you have the playlist. You can organize them in certain ways. On the Light Phone 3, you only have one playlist, essentially, that functions. Now, the Light Phone 3 does have podcasts. It does sync fast, or very easily. So you're going to be able to have the different podcasts, whatever it is that you are interested in, and they sync automatically. However, you can load podcasts on the music application here on the Mudita Kompakt, and of course you can customize as well in the future. We'll talk about that in just a second. But yes, both devices have. This one has more entertainment options. It has a meditation app. It does have, for example, chess. If you want to play a little match against the computer, we're going to up the difficulty maybe to intermediate, right? So if you want to confirm the move right there, and the computer is going to come back. So if you're passing some time, you do have the chess application. So in this specific case, the Mudita takes that win and brings it back closer, 4.5 to 5. So entertainment options, again, they're both pretty good, but in this specific case, the Mudita takes the edge. Now, the Light Phone is going to take a little bit of an edge on this specific one, and this one is for the calendar. So when it comes to the calendar, the Mudita Kompakt only has a local calendar. So in the specific instance, the local calendar serves for, you're going to be able to add events. You have a 5-minute reminder, you can add notes, etc., etc. It's going to remind you. But this one doesn't sync with any provider. The Light Phone 3 does have the ability to do both syncing and also have a local calendar. So if you don't want to sync, they're both parity. But if you want the ability to sync with a provider like Google Calendar or Apple Calendar, you have the Light Phone. So this is a 6 to 4.5 so far. Do not fret, the Mudita still has a lot of different abilities, so it probably will come back here. So do not fret. But here you have, for example, these are the two things that I have for today. You have the family calendar meeting, as always, and the planned Japan trip. For me, here on the Mudita, there is no syncing. So in this case, I would have had to add the event, get the title, etc., etc. On the Light Phone 3, you can also add the event. You can, which location is going to be on the light calendar is going to be on the synced calendar. It just depends on what you're doing. So for this specific one, the Light Phone takes that edge once again. So I believe it's 6 to 4.5. But now we go back to the Mudita. It's a battle of the heavyweights. They're trading punches back to back. Now we have the Mudita taking back that edge, taking back that importance on the utilities. So when it comes to utilities, outside of those basics that we have talked about, you have an alarm. Here you also have an alarm, but the advantage on the Mudita Kompakt is that you can make multiple alarms. You can have more customization. You have the ability to repeat them. On the Light Phone 3, yes, you can do that. So for example, here's a 5:30, but you can repeat daily. and that's about it. You can set multiple alarms, so let's say one at 6:30, but you do not have the ability to have granular customization. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever it is. On the iPhone 3, you only have that ability to do one. So one repeat, so repeat every day, or you don't repeat it every day. On the Mudita Kompakt, you have that. So they both have alarms, but the Mudita one is definitely better. They both have a calculator, right? So you have calculator, pretty basic. The Mudita one, is pretty basic, and the Lightphone one is also pretty basic, so not a massive thing. But then you have notes, and the notes are a little bit better on the Mudita, better organization. You also have notes on the Lightphone. You also have right there, boom. See, it's essentially, using them. You also can do recorded notes, and you have a recorder right here. And again, you would think it's mostly parity, but the Mudita also has other utilities. And again, it has weather. iPhone 3, still no weather. You will have to text a number to get the weather. So depending on what you're doing. And in my personal opinion, those little customizations, here's the torch on the Mudita Kompakt. You have two. You have a warm torch and you have a cold torch. But the extra customizations on the settings, extra little things that you can do, that you can manage the apps. So different utilities, different things, just depends on what you are looking for. But in my personal opinion, the utilities on the Mudita are better made and they are slightly better than on the Lightphone 3. So here we have the Mudita coming back to, I believe is 5.5 to 6 because it had those extra weighted at the beginning. And now we're going to the next portion, which is the camera. So this is the camera experience on the Mudita. So as you see, you can see the surface. It is black and white. It is not perfect, but you can see the item in front of you. And here is the experience on the Lightphone 3. The Lightphone 3 experience is better in a certain degree because you do not only see it in color, but also the quality is better. So I'm going to show you a few images. They are, both respectable, but I think I will give the edge to the Lightphone 3. It takes that extra commanding edge, so I believe it's 7 to 5.5. But again, do not fret. The Mudita is coming back, and we may end up with a tie or the Mudita winning. So we'll see, kind of on the preferences. But as you have been seeing on the images right there, I took a few images, and while the images quality is pretty much decently similar, the experience is better on the Lightphone 3. The next one is friction. So this one is important. So both of these devices have friction enabled onto them, but I like the e-ink screen. I think the e-ink screen deserves that extra edge, extra importance, because having an e-ink screen is not only better for your eyes, better for battery life, but also it is very important for the purposes of friction. So even if you were to load, in the next section, we're going to talk about customization. Even if you were to load something like a distracting application, the Mudita has the layer of inherent friction with the e-ink screen. So having that e-ink screen inherent friction does not allow you to do anything you want. It's more restrictive. So we're going to give that to the Mudita 6.5 to 7. So here we have the final category, which is customization. So both devices you can customize to whatever it is that you want. But as I have talked about in the past with the friction just a few seconds ago, I will give the edge. This is a tie, but a 0.5 extra to the to the Mudita Kompakt to come at a 7 to 7 match. Essentially right here, you have a 7 to 7 match. Both devices are the same. They're both customizable. If you want to go into the depths and the Android layer and customize it to your heart's content, there is a video out there that you can watch on how to do that. Same thing on the Mudita Kompakt. If you want to sideload applications, you go to the Mudita Center, you drop an APK, and then you're going to be able to use whatever it is that you want on this device. So for that reason, it is a tie for both because you can customize it to your heart's content, but I will give the edge that extra 0.5 to tie this match to the Mudita Kompakt. So you have a 7 to 7 right there. Which one do you prefer? I think it's up to your needs, your preferences. What is it that you're looking for in a device? Both devices have proven to be excellent and supported by the companies. So I really appreciate that, to have companies that really care about their devices, that are really intent about creating a good experience, either by default or through customization. As we have seen, the Mudita community continues to expand and a lot of people like it. It just depends on what your priorities are. They have come a long way for both devices. It just depends on which one do you trust more, which one is going to be a better build quality for you and for your use case. And of course, these are not the only two devices. There are other devices out there. One of them I showed is the Sunbeam F1. We also have the Minimal Company. We have the Side phone coming out very soon, and a lot of competition that has come as a result of people seeing this market and listening to people and saying, hey, there needs to be a change here in the world with more basic devices that do amazing things. So I would say that my daily driver is the iPhone 3, just because I prefer certain utilities like podcasts. But if the Mudita Kompakt had not a customized, because I could sideload and then I get started to the distraction world, but non-customized, a podcast app, I would definitely go here and try to make it my full-time device. That is just my opinion. But what is yours? What device do you prefer? What do you think? And which one do you think is better for your use cases? Make sure to drop a comment in the comments below, and I'll be interacting with you guys. See you in the next video. We're going to see some updates from other companies that are also taking care of their devices and making them better and better each and every month. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.